What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle. I'm a full-time eBay reseller here in Rhode Island. My goal this year is to make $120,000 buying and selling things through primarily eBay, but we do Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook as well. You guys are going to see the numbers right here. So this is going to be divided up in a couple different ways. So the primary business is my eBay reseller business. So buying and selling pretty much everything and anything I can as a full-time eBay reseller. The second number is my side hustle, which is buying and selling sports cards. I love collecting sports cards, always have, hopefully always will. But I decided to use that as kind of like a side income. I started this last year. I made about $20,000 buying and selling sports cards. So this year, I kind of want to hit that same goal. My goal really is to get to that $30,000 mark, I'd say. Maybe like close to that $40,000, we'll see. But that's going to be kind of a side way to get a little bit of extra money, a little bit of extra income throughout the year to hopefully hit this $120,000 mark. Each video I'm going to bring you guys along, show you kind of like what I'm spending, what I'm making, and see if we can get to that mark. My minimum goal is $80,000. So I really don't want to be below $80,000 in profit this year. You know, $80,000 is pretty much how I can sustain my family. If I'm less than that, not so great. But if I'm above that and at that 120, that's great. So that's the goal there. You guys see the numbers. We're going to add a little bit to it. So first thing that we're going to add is we are adding through a Facebook Marketplace deal. We had one Facebook Marketplace deal. You guys are going to see it right here. This is a snow skateboard. I made $28.04 off this. I charge $30. State wants their sales tax. I'm supposed to be charging sales tax. So what I do is I just simply Google a sales tax calculator, put in the $30 and it divides the numbers up for you, tells you that you paid, essentially for my state, it's 7% in Rhode Island. We charge $1.96, which I put aside into a bank account in sales tax, and the money in $28.04 is what I technically made off that item. Second thing that we're going to have here is we actually got money from Vendoo. So Vendoo, if you don't know, is a cross-listing application website that I use to essentially cross-list I put things the way I do it, and there's different ways to do it. You can do it right through the website itself, but I'm very comfortable listing on eBay. I then import all my items from eBay to Vendoo, and I was putting it through onto my Facebook, Poshmark, Mercari accounts, depending on what the items were. The reason why I signed up for them was because they had auto sales detection. So auto sales detection, essentially when something sold on Facebook, it would automatically remove and not just detection, but I guess removal as well. So it would detect the sale and then it would remove it. So if I had something on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, it sold on eBay, it would take it off the Poshmark and Mercari for me. I didn't have to do anything. Since November, I've been having issues with this where I can't seem to get anything to be removed. I've done 3 tickets now, and the last ticket, they kept on mentioning Poshmark being an issue, but actually Poshmark was now at this point, they fixed it for me, but it was the only one that would actually remove anything. My sales got so messed up that I wasn't really paying attention to it because I've had it for about a year now and I haven't had any issues with the auto removal. But it got so messed up where I didn't really know what was still good on Poshmark, still good on Mercari. I had a few orders that I had to cancel. You guys are going to see one of them here. So I essentially asked them to fix it. We just couldn't get things. After 3 months, we couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So it got to the point where I just demanded a refund. Eventually, they credited me $50 for my next month, for the next year, because I paid for the year up front, which was about $600. I told them I was not happy with that, and I just wanted to be done with them. After going through management a couple of different ways, they eventually crediting me $149.75. So that's going back to the business. After April, I think it's 24th or 28th, I'm going to be done with Vendoo. In the meantime, I am going to be signing up with another cross-listing service. I don't know exactly which one I'm going to go with. The one I'm looking at, I think it's about $1,200 a year. So it's going to be double what I'm paying, but hopefully it's going to be a little bit better from the research I've looked at. I think I'm going to be happy with it. But the key factor for me is that, auto sales detection and it being removed, delisted, so I don't have to worry about it. I am going to put better checks in place that I'm following it a little bit more, and hopefully it's just a quick check and something I'm just doing. I started doing that with Vendoo, but the point where I started it, it was just too late and too far gone. So I want to get that back up and running. I would have stayed with them. I liked them as their application was great. I liked it. I liked everything about how to move everything. It was just the customer service. Essentially what they do is you're in a chat with them, and when they don't know, they essentially close the chat, tell you, we're closing the chat, don't worry, we'll get back to you. They never get back to you. First time, it was 3 weeks, and I reached back out after 3 weeks and had to restart the whole process again. And then the second time, it was 10 days, and I reached back out, and they were able to locate at least like a ticket, but they had no updates and pretty much just told me like it's a system-wide thing. So that's all I have to say on that. It did add $149.75 to my balance, so I am taking that as income from my business, essentially back. I don't know how that's worked with taxes, but that's often a separate thing. But for in this scenario, we're using that as you're going to see a big deduction at some point come out. It'll probably be monthly, I think. I probably won't pay for the whole year, at least for a little bit. If they do give you a little bit of a discount for the year, maybe I'll do it after a couple of months of things running well with whoever I go for a new service. But you see that income. Next up, we had Poshmark. We had 4 sales, and this is why I bring this up. We sold this Bula winter trapper hat. Found this in a storage unit, and I already sold it on eBay. So I had to cancel this order with Poshmark. There were 2 out of 3 last week, or 2 out of 4 I had to cancel as well. So reset, we took everything off Poshmark, so hopefully we'll be good to go and we don't have any issues. In the next couple weeks, I doubt that I'll have many sales on Poshmark or Mercari because I don't have anything listed on either one of those right now. So over this week, I'm going to get that up and running again, but we'll see how fast sales come in. But sold this vintage handmade patch quilt. This I got at the bins, probably into it for a couple bucks. This paid for my whole trip essentially. So sold that for $40. This Mizuno Power Lock glove, sold that for $15. We're starting to get into that season, I guess. I just signed my kids up for T-ball, so maybe, people are thinking baseball, just getting into their signups. So not a weird thing to see if you have some gloves. I would suggest listing them because people are signing up for that sport right now. Then we got Fat Brain Toys. So that's the brand. It's the Any Bin Baby Sensory Box. My wife knew this brand. She told me it's a good brand, and we picked it up for $4. It's a thrift store where we don't get service. So it's kind of like it puts your skills to the test kind of thing there, which isn't great when you're trying to learn clothing, which is my biggest thing that I'm trying to do. But they do have some usually pretty good hard goods, and I can find enough clothing that like I know is okay to make our trip usually worth it. But sold all 3 of those. With Poshmark, you don't get paid out until it's delivered, so not all that has been delivered, but our Poshmark payout this week was $33.45, leaving us with 40 eBay orders. I'm going to run through these super fast because a lot of them are going to be action figures, comic books, stuff that I've sold through. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that stuff. The Angela 1 through 3 comic book lot, this sold for $15 plus shipping on top. Sold this globe. This one was pretty cool. I've had this for a while. Someone reached out to me, had a message. I had it up for $30. Answered their message, and I went to go whenever I have an opportunity to send out an offer, I send it out at 5%. This person had a message on it, so they may have been satisfied with the answer. Maybe we're going to buy it at full price, but I then followed up because it was one of the items that would allowed me to do a 5% offer. Sent it, and they bought it immediately. So an item I had for a while. It was nice to kind of follow up with that offer and get that moved. Green Bay Packers quilted puffer vest. Any puffer vest usually does pretty well if it's a decent brand. This one is obviously team motivated. Sold that for $17.99. That sold pretty quickly, so a fast seller there. I think I'm into that we got that for like $6-7 maybe from a local thrift store recently, so a little bit more than double our money on it. I talked about this in my last video. I kind of forgot that these sold technically a week later, but they were all pretty close. Sold these 2 garden gnomes. First one was $8 plus shipping. These have old shipping rates on them where I probably charged £2, so I made a little bit of money extra on the shipping. I've since lowered my rate, so if it's like a £2 thing, I ship at an 8-ounce rate. That way I don't have to keep on messing around when USPS changes rates on me, and I should be a little bit more competitive with my shipping. Same one here. This is a 12.5-inch gnome, and that sold for $9.99. So those 2 moved. Had one third one. I'm down to 1 gnome left. Sold through probably about 30-40 gnomes. Forget exactly how many. Anywhere from like $25 down to these ones being the cheapest at like $8. I had no idea what this thing was. My wife listed this. This was something I got from a storage unit. The only involvement I had in this was doing the custom SKU, and it took me a little while because I kept on typing in the word egg because to me it looks like an egg. But this is a vintage mate tea gourd cup. I have no idea what this even is. I'm not a tea drinker. I know none of that. I don't drink coffee. Not my realm, but sold for $20. Happy to see it move along. Vintage Geo A-Reach baseball glove, so kind of a decorative piece there. Definitely not in the condition I would play with it, but sold for $11.99. Also horrible pictures. This is back when I somehow turned on a filter and I never went back to change pictures. So that could be, I had this for a while. That might be why, because it has odd coloring to it. Sold this little, is it an Ewok? Yeah, so this little Ewok, I think it's like $1 or an inch to maybe inch and a half. Sold it for $16.99, little pewter piece. Good sale there, and you're gonna see more from that buy. Once again, action figure, sold that for $5.99. This one, it has a little knob on the back that you turn and he does a karate chop. Sold this Weeping Buddhas. The Weeping Buddhas actually do okay. They're very slow moving. If you can get like bigger ones, they're actually not bad. This came from a storage unit. I had like 10 of these Weeping Buddhas. These I think are the last two I had. I had one guy that was interested in Facebook Marketplace, but we just never agreed on a day or a time, and eventually these sold on eBay to one person, bought two, so had to cancel, or eventually told the person on Facebook that we were moving in a different direction. I do have the fact that I don't do any holds, because if you've ever done Facebook, you realize how many people don't actually show up, even if you have times. Sold this vintage 24 karat gold plated soap dish. I don't know if this is because gold has gone up that much. I mean, it's only 24 karat gold plated. Sold that for $45. The comp I had a long time ago, this I've had for probably like 6 months listed. I don't know if it's the fact that maybe just the right buyer eventually found it, or with gold going up so much it is. The comp at the time had it there. So I don't know what drove that sale. It sold internationally, but I'm very happy to see that one moving. $45 for a soap dish. Cannot complain about that. Once again, comic books, 2 Marvel 2-in-1 comic books. Sold that for $7.99 plus shipping. Talked about this before. If you ever see a Visiball for bowling ball, pick them up. So these things are insanely good. Sold this Penn State bowling ball. This is actually a Brunswick brand. I don't know what Visiball, if it's like a something from them, or if it's like a Brunswick gives a certain amount of bowling balls to Visiball to do like these graphics. But Penn State Nittany Lions, $50. This thing was chipped, beat up, scuffed, had like 2 significant chips, what I would consider significant. I'm not a bowling ball expert. I do know you can fill, polish, do all that stuff. So presuming someone was going to do that with that ball. These graphics can be, the other one I picked up was a American flag, White House, rock, it had a spaceship on it, eagle, very patriotic ball. That one I have up, I think, for like 40 or 50 bucks as well. But you can see like Rugrat sales of like $300. So if you find the right ball, it could be a real premium, but decent price for a bowling ball. I'm into each one of those for $5. So $50 into $5 into 50 was a great flip there. These are 3 fork sets, silver plated forks. Roger Bros. This sold for $6. Had these for quite some time. It's getting to the point now where I do still have a lot of these silverware. They do sell. I sold a lot during the holidays, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it for another year. So I don't think I'm going to see a big influx in sales again until we get back to those holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas time, where people are looking for, I'm going to use nicer silverware. Mine are not nice. I put 0 effort into polishing, making them look good. I'm sure if someone did, they could make some money. I can bring it to my local silver gold guy. He gives me, like, right now it's a little bit higher. Usually it was like $1 for a pound. Give me like $1.50 now a pound. Probably not worth it, but it is holding up a good, I have a healthy amount of it, and not sure if I want to hold it for another year. So something I'll have to think of. Vintage Ping i2 driver. So these things in good condition do pretty well. This one was beat up. This is an old wooden club face with a steel shaft club. So collectible item, probably not something someone's going to use. Sold it for $8. It was in a golf bag I got from a storage unit. Decided to list it. It was one of those things where, you know, the storage unit wasn't great, and I was a little bit desperate just to make some money and make myself feel better. But realistically, not something I should be listing. Alaska State Bear. So this sold for $9.49. Big thing with license plates is you got to put a year on there. So you want to look and see when it was last used. So there either A will be the registration year sticker on it, or B, you want to go find when the plate was last in use. This plate's still in use, but one of the stickers, one of the plates on this one was 2018. So I went based off that sticker. So that's how you can do it. I think it's within 3 years. If it's newer than 3 years, then you can get a Vera strike. So just be a little bit careful of that when you're listing plates. I did an really old farm plate, which I couldn't find, and I've now put in my basement because it has really good value. I think it's like a $40 plate, but I just can't find the last year it was in use. You can tell it's super old, super vintage, but it still got taken down because I didn't have the year on my listing. So be careful of that. Here's a big bowl. I've talked about this in a little short, but Nora Fleming. So Nora Fleming is like a white dish set. They have like a little hole in it for these charms. The charms can be retired and be worth a premium. The plates are good too. So and some of these retired plates are worth a good amount of money. Anything Nora Fleming I would pick up. But be very diligent with this. This retired pink heart sold for $152. So it's just a little charm that goes in the dish. Sold for $152. This is a personal collection of ours. My wife, my mom, my wife, my sister all collect this stuff. But I guess we're not collectors of it. Every year my mom would buy probably like 30 pieces of these charms, and they would do like a little draft and just pick whichever ones they wanted as kind of like a gift. But some of these have since become extremely valuable. We went and we sold anything that was probably over like $20. I don't know what the exact price that we sold at. My wife was in charge of that. But anything that we could make a good amount of money on, and then we just pretty much reinvested. So if we sold like a football piece, we went and bought another football piece to kind of make up for it there. So sold that one though, and I think we already have a red heart, so I don't know what my wife plans on replacing that one with, if anything. But definitely be on the lookout for Nora Fleming. It can be very expensive. All right, so next we sold this vintage clock topper. This is a Roman soldier from, what was the brand here? Mueller Sons. So I ended up selling this for $95. When I listed it, I got an instant offer. Someone essentially just asked if I would do it cheaper. Essentially, I don't really like when people just say, what's the lowest you would go? So I asked them what they were looking to spend. They never really came up with it. They pretty much just told me they were spoiled from the Browning Browns, whatever that big flea market is that is antique driven. So it sounded like he was looking for flea market pricing. Obviously, I'm on eBay. I want eBay pricing. There are no listings on this currently, and I did find one sold comp that kind of justified it. He is missing the sword, but they eventually told me they were a buyer at $80. But the fact that at that point it kind of made me feel like I was selling it for cheap if this guy wanted a good deal, supposedly from like a flea market price. So I left it up there, just told him I'm going to give it a couple of weeks, and within a couple of weeks it sold for the $95. So happy to see that I held off, and I know it's only $15, but I'll take an extra $15 all day long. Next two, he sold these 16 Captain America and Falcon comic books, and these are just Captain America, 15 of the just Captain America. Someone reached out to me and said, would you do $100 shipped? I think all in I was like $116 plus shipping. The comic, I knew it wouldn't be a lot to ship the comic books, so agreed to the $100 plus shipping on that. They're books I've had for quite some time, and obviously being a big part of it was a huge buyout. I've already made my money on this, so no problem moving that. Parker Quartz curved gold tone watch. This was not tested, said needed battery, parts only essentially. This sold for $17.99. I probably should get into the habit of testing these watches. Usually I won't go get a battery unless like it's like a $100 watch. Selling at $18 parts only, I figured this thing probably was worth, I would say 50, 60. Like I need to put that into just like a little bin of watches, I would suppose, and then go do it all at once when I get like 5 or 10 of them or whatever. So maybe not worth it to go do individually for a trip, but definitely something I probably should be holding on to and not just selling for $18. Orvis is a brand that I struggle with. I don't know why I struggle with this brand, but anytime I get Orvis and I try to sell it, it does not sell super fast for me. They had this up for $9.99. I sold similar for $8.99, and it sold within 30 minutes. So I was very happy to see that one sell. And of course, anytime that a piece of clothing especially sells within like 30 minutes of listing, you feel like you missed out on something. But yet I had it up for probably a year on my other eBay for $9.99, and it didn't sell. So it's amazing how you can still have that, FOMO of missing out on your big sale, and I sold it too cheap, even though you've had it up for a while and it didn't sell. Sold these 3 Marvel comic books. This is Sergeant Fury. This sold for $7 plus shipping on top. Sold this after Christmas, so a Christmas ornament sold after Christmas. Happy to see that anytime that happens. $9.99 plus shipping. It's little 3 pieces, the 3 trains linked together, but they are individual. So it had some pretty good weight to it. It was like a 2-pound ornament. So that was not my best flip because of the fact that it was so heavy. Definitely didn't think it would be over a pound when I listed it, and I know I listed that too low. I think I only made $2.52 on that sale, so not the best flip on that one. Definitely guessed the weight wrong on that. Another golf club sold, TaylorMade R580XD. This is just a driver, 10.5 degree. Sold that for $24.99 plus shipping. Any driver I charge $12 shipping. Generally, I don't have any issues. I did have to send one club to Hawaii once. But for the most part, that covers my shipping. And then any putter or iron and sets, I'll do $15. Any iron or putter, I usually do about $10. And they'll cover the box, and shipping's usually around $8, maybe $9. So found that to be a good price point, and that way people aren't getting overcharged and my clubs are actually moving. I know that this might trigger some people because I have no idea what this thing's called. Star Wars Pewter AT-AT. I'm not I have no idea what I'm supposed to be saying with this thing. 24 karat gold accents from the Franklin Mint. So this is a weird one. They have comps up to $250, and then I listed it originally at like that $225 mark. And I've slowly been bringing it down. I've had someone that sent me offers of like $100 consistently. I think they ran out of there because you get 5 offers. I think they ran out of offers eventually. But I've been just slowly working the price down. Eventually it sold at $152 there. That must have been some sort of offer, probably a 5% offer I sent out, because I wouldn't go down to a $152 increment, or maybe someone sent me an offer, I don't know. But sold for $152. That was also part of that little Ewok pewter figure. I have one bigger ship left. Forgive me, Star Wars fans. I know it's a sin. I'm actually kind of excited. One of the reasons why obviously I love my kids and enjoy my kids, but one thing I look forward to, I guess I should say, is I can go back and watch those classics that I've missed somehow, and Star Wars being one of them. I would love to get my son to watch those so I can personally watch them with him. I know I can go and just watch it on my own, but I usually don't unless I'm watching it with someone. So hopefully in the near future. My son's only 5, so we got a little ways to go, but eventually I'll be watching Star Wars and understanding what's happening there. So this pair of glass doorknobs I will always pick up. Sold that for $11.99. Anytime they're just not chipped, broken, cracked, just give them a quick look over. But usually a quick, easy sale. I'll usually try to put them in lots and try to find a couple that match. That way, people, if they're redoing the house or doing a house, they're more likely to buy multiples. Odyssey dual putter. So it looks like we're getting into the golf season in the southern states. $25 plus shipping on top for that one. Chubby's lounge shorts. I did not know the brand Chubby's. My wife did though, and she found them at the bins. Didn't think they would sell so fast, but sold within 2 weeks for $16.99. Dorman rivet gun. Just a tool. This is another bad sale. I misjudged how much this would cost for shipping. I made $2.96 off this. Sold it for $6.99. This is something I should have just thrown away. Once again, one of those storage unit things where you're not making a ton of money and you just put stuff up just to put stuff up. Going forward, I do plan on trying to this year get into Whatnot, and I think that will help mitigate some of this really low-end stuff that just isn't worth my time. In this case, it was an easy pack, easy list, easy ship, like easy everything. So I'll take it, but I want to get my cost of goods. Well, my cost of goods is really low, but I want to get, my average sale price up a little bit here. $15 on this Harley Davidson cutoff vest. Had this for a while. Slowly been moving the price down and eventually got $15 for it. Olympus Junior camera. Sold this for $7.99. Usually I'll do big camera lots, and anytime I find a camera, I'll pick it up. I usually don't comp them, especially if they're like only a couple bucks. So they're usually quick sellers. This one took a little bit of time, but eventually didn't move for $7.99. Days and Events, 1860 through 1866. This is a Civil War First Edition book. This I had up for $30, sent a 5% offer on, and it was accepted. I had this for $40 on my old eBay, never sold. Significantly dropped the price, and I think with the offer being sent out, someone scooped it up pretty quickly. All right, so I got this Jax action figure of Nunzio. Sold for $4.99 plus shipping on top there. vintage box dinky Ford GT white car. This thing is beat, no windshield, no mirrors, really chipped, really beat up. Sold it for $12.99 plus free shipping on top for that one. So I saw that it had a pretty good sell-through rate. If it's in good condition, they sell for a crazy price. I did see some beat up sales, so I decided to list it. Kind of falls into that category of why am I listing this, but it sold and made a little bit of money on it, so happy with that. Legion of Doom Wrestling Tag Team. One of these guys' arms was very loose, so could have gotten a little bit more, but sold those two for $6.99 plus shipping. Got Batman Arkham Asylum. This is a first print DC comic book. Sold that for $8.99 plus shipping on top there. Once again, a little multi-pack, so these are sold together. We got Kane and Mankind. Sold those two for $8.99 plus shipping on top. Vintage Murano Paperweight. This took forever to sell. I think I originally listed this thing for like $17.99 and slowly been dropping the price. Had it for $9.99, probably $9.99, and then got an offer or sent in 5% offer, and that sold for $9.49. The last thing we sold was this Alaska Standing Bear plate again, $9.99. Got these for $1 at a thrift store recently. So moved all those. 40 sales, probably about the same that I did last week. I did see improvement. So my last eBay payout, let's see, that was $675.13. This one's a little bit higher at $809.14. So $809.14 added to our profit this year. When you take into everything that we did here, our side hustle, we added a little bit to it. So we were at $326.36 and we are now at $972.39. We did pretty well. So I went to a sports card show. I sold a card alone for $1,200. Now, the problem with being at a sports card show is you tend to buy cards as well. But I think I sold like $1,700 worth of cards. I bought like $1,400 worth of cards. Had some eBay sales mixed in there. All in all, I ended up profiting at $972, not $39. I'm not going to go into a ton with my card stuff. I know a lot of people aren't going to necessarily care about that, but did see a trajectory there, and the problem with the side hustle you're going to see as well is there's going to be some huge swings. So I have an order coming from a grading company. When that comes in very soon, I think over the next month, or I'll have it. It's in the assembly process, so you'll see a big increase in sales, and then I'll go take that money and buy stuff. So that one's a little bit of volatility. In the end, I want that to be around that 15,000 to 20,000 mark. So that's really the goal there. And then we ended our profit for this month at $2,839.09. So not a bad little start here. We ended total with $3,811.48. So the goal is $120,000, or the stretch goal is $120,000. My goal is to really be above $80,000. But if we're going for that $120,000 mark, we should be at $5,000 right now. So $1,200 below, obviously a little bit of a dip. You don't want to be that far down. Kind of a slower start, but that's to be expected until we get to these summer months. And then in the summer months, I need to see, a lead start to happen, because I think for me in October, November, it'll start to slow down. And then you get into the holiday Christmas season. Hopefully we'll see a big boost there. But that's pretty much everything I got for you guys. If you guys enjoy the journey here and want to see if I can get to that $120,000 mark, like, comment, subscribe, all that greatly helps me out. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.